everybody, my name is Tanya and today it's time to talk about the April book for my Booktube Recommends Project, and that is Inda by Sherwood Smith. So Inda, of course, was the one that was recommended to me by the wonderful Sam at Novels and Nonsense, and there will be links to her down in the description. Inda is the first in a 4-book series and it is one of Sam's absolute all-time favourites, as I'm sure you will already know, so I was very keen to pick this up. We share a lot of similar tastes, especially in fantasy and classics. There are a lot of things that are favourites of mine that are favourites of Sam's, or vice versa. So I knew when she talked about this one a lot that it would be something that I would really enjoy. And yes, I did really enjoy it. It took some time to get through. I really loved the first half and then kind of went quite slow once we hit part 2. And it wasn't until kind of the end that it really picked up again. So it did take me a little bit of time to get into, but it's that kind of book. It's slower paced epic fantasy, which I personally love. Lord of the Rings is one of my all-time favourites, so I'm no stranger to that kind of style of writing, so that part didn't put me off, but it is definitely a slower paced read, so if you're not into that, then maybe it's not something that is for you. So it follows our main character, Inda, who is the second son of a prince, and as the second son, his eventual role is meant to be as shield arm to his elder brother. Now, the older brothers go to the King's Academy to be trained, whereas the second sons are always trained at home, except for times of war. And so this is set in a world where war is brewing. And so Inda is unexpectedly summoned to the King's Academy to receive his training. So the first part of this reads like this kind of big training montage, in that Inda has started at this academy. He's bonding or not bonding with his peers and starting to learn different skills, and I really enjoy that part of kind of getting to know the world a little bit more and getting to know the people around him, and seeing through Inda's eyes a whole different world to what he has been used to. So Inda at home has been used to playing games of strategy and of war, and so he has got quite a good mind for working out these kind of tactics and war games, and which is a big part of the academy, and so he's able to put those skills into effect during his training. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. It does get him attention that is not necessarily quite so welcome, and it follows kind of what happens from there. So this follows Inda's perspective, but we also jump around and follow different characters around the world. It's quite a large cast of characters and quite an complicated and in-depth world to try and step into. So a lot of people have mentioned the names, and the names are complicated. We get names and then formal names and then nicknames for different people, and there are also different titles that apply in different situations. It's also a world where there are kind of different cultures and different languages, and so in one language it might be referred to as this, but they don't say that anymore, or they're using this instead, and any slight kind of change is going to mean a different thing and a different status for them. So that does take quite a bit to get used to. I don't know that I feel that I have entirely grasped everything yet. I've read the first book and I still think that there's a lot for me to learn in terms of how this world is put together and what everything means. There is a small glossary of terms in the back of my copy here, which I would recommend you referring to get a little bit of a handle on different terms. But it can be a little bit jarring when a character is referred to a certain way for quite a number of pages, and then suddenly in a different context he's referred to by a slightly different name, that it might take a little bit to kind of go, we're talking about this guy, okay, we're there again. It's something to be aware of going into it, that you kind of got to keep everybody in their place and think of them in multiple ways. It's definitely a very rich and complex world that I'm looking forward to getting a better handle on as I continue through the series. As I said, I do think I'm getting there, but I think that there's a lot more that Sherwood Smith is going to be revealing as time goes on, or at least I hope so. So on top of being quite a complex, slower fantasy read, this is also very political. So the driving factor behind the plot of this one is very politically driven. Politics in terms of impending war, politics in terms of people scheming and striving for position. So again, if politics is not your thing, then maybe this isn't the best one to read. Again, I thought it was really interesting. There are some people that I am cheering for, and there are some people that I want to punch, which I'm sure is Sherwood Smith's objective in this, being invested in the characters in that way. So it is interesting to see where this kind of political scheming is going to end up as well. For all that this is epic fantasy, the fantasy element and the magic system in this is incredibly subtle. For the most part, this actually reads like straight historical fiction, albeit in a world that's very different from our own. And so it hasn't played a very big part to this point. I don't know whether things are going to change in the later books in the series, but in general, it's a very small part of the world, it seems, and even less mentioned in the book. So every now and then there might be a mention of a spell for purging or a spell, I think, for removing hair, things like that. But for the most part, it's not at all mentioned, which I find really intriguing. It's epic fantasy, but light on the fantasy. Now this, of course, has been going as the IndaClub Read-Along that Sam has organised on Goodreads at the moment, which I'll leave links to that down at the bottom. They read Inda in April, and May has been the fox. I didn't actually finish this one until a week into May, I think, so I'm running a bit behind at the moment, but I am definitely intending on picking up the next book soon. As the way this ends, I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens next and would like some more questions answered and to see where this world develops. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars and I'm definitely wanting to see what happens next. So those were some rambling thoughts on Inda by Sherwood Smith. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments, and if you've read this one, as always, thank you all for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!